In the heart of ancient Egypt, a tale of betrayal, virtue, and divine intervention unfolds. This is the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife. As the sun sets beyond the river Nile, casting long shadows over the land of pyramids and pharaohs, our tale begins. In a world of opulence and power, we find Joseph, a Hebrew lad sold into slavery. A stranger in a strange land, Joseph finds himself in the house of Potiphar, a high-ranking Egyptian officer. Now Joseph was not your ordinary slave. He was a dreamer, a visionary. Even as a young boy in Canaan, he had dreams that foretold of his future greatness. Dreams that, ironically, led to his descent into Egypt. His brothers, envious of their father's apparent favoritism and fearful of his dreams, sold him into slavery. But little did they know they were setting the stage for an extraordinary narrative. In Potiphar's house, Joseph's remarkable qualities did not go unnoticed. His integrity and competence earned him favor in his master's eyes, elevating him to the position of overseer, entrusted with everything Potiphar had. But amidst the grandeur and the prosperity, a character of intrigue emerges: Potiphar's wife. Her name remains unknown to us, yet her role in this story is pivotal. She is a woman of beauty and influence, accustomed to the luxuries of Egyptian aristocracy. Yet, beneath the veneer of her privileged life, lurks a discontent that will soon disrupt the harmony of Potiphar's household. This stage, set in a land steeped in mystery and ancient wisdom, becomes the backdrop for a drama that explores the depths of human character. It's a tale that delves into the realms of temptation, deceit, and the unwavering virtue of a man who stood by his convictions even when the world around him turned its back. Thus, in the grandeur of Egypt, a stage was set for a narrative that would echo through time. In the midst of prosperity and power, a sinister plot was brewing, woven by the threads of desire and deceit. Let's delve into the heart of this ancient tale, where we find Joseph, the favored son of Jacob, now a servant in the opulent house of Potiphar, the captain of Pharaoh's guard. Potiphar's wife, a woman of beauty and privilege, found herself drawn to Joseph. Her eyes were captivated by his handsome form and his noble bearing. Her heart fluttered each time he passed by, and her mind was filled with thoughts of him. She found herself spiraling into the whirlpool of infatuation, the flames of desire consuming her. Day after day, she tried to ensnare Joseph with her charms. She would adorn herself with the finest of silks, the most fragrant of oils, and the most beautiful of jewels. Yet her attempts were in vain. Joseph, steadfast and loyal, refused to betray his master, let alone his God. He would not succumb to the siren's song, nor would he dance to the tune of temptation. Joseph's strength did not lie in his physical form, but in his heart, his integrity, his faith. Each time she approached him, he would gently but firmly rebuff her advances, reminding her of his duty to Potiphar and his devotion to his God. He would not stain his hands with betrayal, nor would he tarnish his soul with deceit. His refusal did not douse her desire, but rather, it fueled it. Each rejection was a spark that ignited the flames of her infatuation, turning it into an obsession. She was consumed by the desire to possess him, to make him hers and hers alone. Yet Joseph remained resolute, his will unbroken, his integrity intact. He stood firm in the face of temptation, his gaze fixed on the path of righteousness. He would not be swayed by fleeting desires, nor would he be ensnared by the web of deceit. He chose honor over pleasure, loyalty over betrayal, and faith over temptation. In the face of temptation, Joseph stood firm, his integrity unbroken. But virtue can be a thorn in the side of those who seek to exploit it, and so a false accusation was cast. In the wake of rejection, Potiphar's wife was left nursing a bruised ego. Her pride, once towering, had crumbled, replaced by a bitter sense of humiliation. Her unrequited desire for Joseph morphed into malice, and a sinister plot began to take shape in the dark corners of her mind. Innocence, as they say, can sometimes be a victim of circumstance. And Joseph, with his virtuous heart, found himself entangled in a web spun from lies. Potiphar's wife, a scorned woman with a vengeful heart, accused Joseph of the unthinkable. She claimed he had tried to force himself upon her, to tarnish her honor, to violate her sanctity. Potiphar, a man of authority and power, was caught in a storm of emotions. Trust, a fragile thing, was shattered. His faith in Joseph, a young man he had come to respect, was replaced with a seething anger. His wife's words echoed in his mind, a deafening cacophony of deceit. But he, blinded by his love for his wife and his duty to protect her, took her words as truth. Without a second thought, without a chance for Joseph to defend his innocence, Potiphar made his decision. He chose to believe the false accusation, to trust the words of his wife over the character of a man he knew to be virtuous. The scales of justice were tipped, and not in favor of truth. Joseph, the innocent, was thrown into prison. The walls of his cell, cold and unforgiving, were a stark contrast to the warmth of his heart. His virtue, instead of being his shield, had become his downfall. His innocence, instead of being his strength, had become his weakness. Thus, innocence was shackled and virtue was punished. Yet even in the darkest of times, the divine light finds a way to shine. Joseph, the once favored son, now a prisoner, found himself in the depths of an Egyptian jail, falsely accused, wronged, and forgotten. But the divine had not forgotten Joseph. In this unlikely place, Joseph's gift to interpret dreams became his beacon. Among his fellow inmates, two stood out, the Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker, each tormented by puzzling dreams. Joseph, moved by their distress, offered to interpret their dreams. The cupbearer saw himself back in the Pharaoh's court, his position restored. The baker, on the other hand, met a tragic end, and as Joseph had foretold, so it came to pass. News of Joseph's gift reached the Pharaoh, who was himself troubled by a dream no one could interpret. The cupbearer, remembering Joseph, spoke of him to the Pharaoh. Joseph was summoned from the depths of the prison to the heights of the Pharaoh's palace. Standing before Pharaoh, Joseph interpreted the ruler's dreams as a divine prophecy, 7 years of abundance to be followed by 7 years of famine. His interpretation, coupled with a sensible plan to store grain during the abundant years, impressed the Pharaoh. In this moment, Joseph's life took a dramatic turn. His wisdom and insight, his divine gift, had redeemed him. The Pharaoh, recognizing the divine favor upon Joseph, appointed him as the governor of Egypt, second only to the Pharaoh himself. Joseph, the dreamer, the slave, the prisoner, was now Joseph, the governor. He held in his hands the power to save a nation from famine, the power to shape history. This is the story of a man who, despite being thrown into the pit of despair, rose through the ranks by the grace of the divine. It's a testament of faith and resilience, a tale of divine intervention and redemption. From the chains of injustice, Joseph rose, his virtue rewarded, his destiny fulfilled. In this tale, etched in the annals of time, we find lessons that resonate even today. The narrative of Joseph and Potiphar's wife is not just an ancient story, but a timeless guide, a beacon of light that illuminates our path in the seemingly endless night of life's trials and tribulations. At the heart of this tale is the virtue of integrity. Joseph, despite the allure of an easy life and the fear of unjust punishment, chose to stay true to his principles. He refused to compromise his integrity for short-lived gains or temporary safety. This steadfast adherence to moral righteousness is a lesson we can all apply in our lives. It serves as a gentle reminder that the true measure of a person lies not in how they act during times of comfort and convenience, but in how they stand during times of controversy and challenge. Next, we find an awe-inspiring testament to the power of resilience. Joseph, cast aside, falsely accused, and imprisoned, could have succumbed to despair. But he didn't. Instead, he chose to endure, to fight, to hope. This resilience, this unwavering perseverance in the face of adversity, is a flame we can kindle in our own hearts. It's a call to rise, to dust ourselves off after every fall, and to keep moving forward, no matter what. Lastly, this epic tale imparts the profound wisdom of divine justice. Joseph's story is a vivid reminder that though the wheels of divine justice may grind slowly, they grind exceedingly fine. Even when we feel wronged, even when justice seems elusive in the mortal realm, we must hold on to our faith in divine retribution. As we navigate the labyrinth of life, may we remember Joseph's tale, finding in it the strength to stand firm, the courage to endure, and the faith to believe in divine justice.